In this video, I'm going to show how we can use Android Studio to create a content provider and then provide very simple UI to interact with the content provider. We are going to continue to use our previous example code. Okay, so to create a content provider, we need to first define classes called a database, which manages how the SQLite databases they used by our content providers. But of course, you can use file. You can easily Google them online and to find out the tutorial. But here we are going to use the SQLite databases as the data sources for our content providers. So first, I'm going to create a Java class called students database. Okay. So to save the time, I've already copied the code from the canvas. You can easily copy them. So now, as we can see, we create a database that extends SQLite help, and then you use the simple SQL to create a table with 3 columns: ID, name, and then the phone. Okay. And next, we already create the content providers. So similarly, we create file, new. We go to the other, we're going to see the content provider here. Okay, so the content provider we're going to create is called students content providers. And then we require us to specify authority. So authority is a unique identifier for the Android system to identify a content provider. So think of some of the unique name. But in our cases, we're going to just say com.example.lab1 2020. Okay, right. So once we have created that, it will automatically generate a file with some template for us, right? I mean, all of the methods are not implemented by default, right? So you need to fill in those content, right? But let's do the same thing. Let's go to the manifest file to see how the provider is created. So we can see that like there is a new item for the content provider. It's register and its authority is the one that we just typed. Okay, let's copy the authority, make sure that it's correct, and then go back to our student content provider. So to save the time, I'm going to copy the student providers that I have already uploaded to the canvas. So you copy the code. Remember, just don't copy the package because you may have different package in your computer, and then just going to. Okay, so so far so good. But the only thing is like the authority is different, right? So let's go to the manifest file, copy the authority that we just defined, go back to our content provider, change it. Okay, now this is correctly mapping, right? So if we look at the code of the content provider, basically just doing a very simple thing like insert the data into student database, and then you will be able to query and do some simple update and delete, right? I'm not going to talk about the detailed code. Feel free to investigate by yourself. That's not the focus of these courses. Okay, so the next thing is that we want to create a new activity is called a DB activity, and then we are going to show those results in the DB activity instead of the main activity, because the main activity has no enough space to show those data. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Go to the so let's first create a new activity. Okay. Create new empty activity called DB activity. So again, to save the time, prepare the code on the canvas. Just copy it. Yeah. Okay. So this time something's different because you can't just copy the code. You also need to copy the associated XML layer file. So we go back to this one, and then you can see that it's associated with the activity DB. So we can just Control A, copy, and then come here. We do the same thing. It's associated with activity DB, and then we'll just replace it. Okay, so you can immediately see that the preview pane is updated correctly with the the layout with several buttons, right? So we have the one button for insert new data, one button to create the database, and the one button to show the current state of the database. Okay. So now if we go back to the activity, you can see that all the errors are gone because the UI now match the background code. Okay, so the final thing we need to do is create a separate new button here to go to this DB activity. So the way to do it is create a new button, and then give the text like to DB. On click DB. So now we can click the red button, put the method. We can basically do the same thing like we can DB activity. That's where we are going to go. Start activity. And okay. So when we click here, it will go to DB activity, and then we will be able to see the impact in the new area. Let's recompile and redeploy it. Okay, it's deployed it successfully. Now let's go to the form. Okay, so we can see the new button. Click it, go to the new activity, and insert the data in the database. So my code will going to update the UI, the saying that every time I insert new things, it's going to display at the bottom. Okay, so we can say David. Okay, Peter. Okay. Also, you can change the phone number if you like. Right. Okay, so now we have 3 people in the databases. So if we go back to the main activity, go to the 2DB, we can see that, okay, at the beginning, this is empty and we click show, right? So you can see that the database already have the record, right? If we click to reset, everything will be empty. And then go back, go here, show empty, right? Insert something here. Okay, well, that's all for the map 1. Thank you.